You learned how to read a room before you learned how to read a book. You notice tone shifts no one else hears. You prepare for things that haven't even happened yet. You replay conversations long after they're over, not because you want to, but because your mind won't let go. And sometimes you wonder, why do I feel so aware, but so tired at the same time? What if I told you? This isn't overthinking. This is something far rarer. Something people don't talk about. Something called traumatic intelligence. And if you have it, it probably didn't come from a place you'd ever wish to revisit. Imagine this. You're sitting in a room with people laughing, talking, living normally, but your brain isn't fully there. A part of you is scanning, watching, calculating. Who's upset? Who's pretending? Is something about to go wrong? You don't do it consciously. It just happens. Like your mind is wired for survival, even when there's nothing to survive. And that's the paradox. Because on the outside, you seem calm, smart, put together. But on the inside, you've been in training your whole life. Not in a classroom, but in chaos. Traumatic intelligence isn't about IQ. It's not about grades or logic puzzles. It's about what your brain learned when it had no choice. When emotions were unpredictable. When safety wasn't guaranteed. When you had to read between the lines just to feel okay. Your brain adapted. It became faster, sharper, more aware. But it came at a cost. Because the same mind that protects you also exhausts you. And once you see these signs, you can't unsee them. Let's talk about them. The first sign, you read people instantly. Not just what they say, but what they mean. You catch micro-expressions, tiny pauses, the slight shift in tone. Someone says, "I'm fine," and you know they're not. Not because you're guessing, but because you've spent years decoding emotional signals most people ignore. At some point in your life, understanding people wasn't optional. It was necessary. So now, you can walk into a room and feel everything. And sometimes, that feels like a superpower. Other times, it feels like a burden. Because you don't just see people, you feel them. Second sign, you overprepare for everything. Not just big things, even small conversations. You think about what you'll say, what they might say, what could go wrong. You create backup plans for situations that probably won't happen. And people might call you anxious. But that's not the full story. Your mind learned one thing very early. Unexpected equals unsafe. So now, you try to make life predictable. Because predictability feels like control. And control feels like peace. Even if it's temporary. Third sign, you struggle to relax, even when nothing is wrong. You sit down. You try to rest. But your mind keeps running. What did I miss? Did I forget something? Is everything really okay? Silence doesn't feel peaceful. It feels suspicious. Because your nervous system is used to noise, tension, unpredictability. Calm feels unfamiliar. And unfamiliar feels dangerous. So your body stays alert, even when it doesn't need to. Pause for a second. Really think about this. When was the last time you felt completely safe? With nothing to monitor, nothing to fix, nothing to anticipate? If that question feels hard to answer, you're starting to understand this on a deeper level. Fourth sign, you're incredibly self-aware, but also self-critical. You analyze your thoughts, your actions, your words. You know why you feel the way you feel. But instead of that bringing peace, it sometimes turns into pressure. Why am I like this? I should be better than this. You understand yourself deeply, but you don't always treat yourself gently. Because somewhere along the way, you learned that being better meant being safer. Fifth sign, you're hyper-independent. You don't like relying on people. Not because you think you're better, but because relying on others once felt risky. Maybe people were inconsistent. Maybe support wasn't always there. So you adapted. I'll handle it myself. And now, even when help is available, you hesitate. Because independence feels safer than disappointment. Sixth sign, you anticipate emotional reactions before they happen. You soften your words. Adjust your tone. Pick the right moment. You're careful, not fake. Careful, because you've seen how quickly things can escalate. You've learned how to prevent conflict before it even begins. But here's the twist. Sometimes, you end up shrinking yourself in the process. Seventh sign, you feel responsible for other people's emotions. If someone's upset, you feel it. And not just empathy. Responsibility. What did I do? How can I fix this? Even when it's not your fault. Because at some point, keeping others emotionally stable helped keep you stable too. So now, you carry emotions that were never yours to carry. Pause again. Ask yourself this. How often do you take responsibility for things that were never actually yours? Just sit with that for a moment. Eighth sign. You struggle with trust. Not in an obvious way. You can be kind, open, warm, but there's always a part of you holding back, watching, waiting, not because you want to doubt people, but because your brain has learned. Trust carefully, so you don't fully relax into relationships. Not right away. Sometimes, not ever. Ninth sign. You replay the past, constantly. Conversations, moments, mistakes. Not because you enjoy it, but because your brain is searching for patterns. What could I have done differently? What did I miss? It's trying to learn, to improve, to protect. But instead, it traps you in a loop where the past never fully lets go. And the 10th sign, the one that ties everything together. You're strong in ways people don't see. You handle things quietly. You adapt quickly. You endure more than you show. But that strength, it didn't come from nowhere. It was built, piece by piece, in moments where you didn't have another option. Here's the realization most people miss. Traumatic intelligence isn't just about what you gained. It's about what you had to give up. Ease, spontaneity, a sense of safety that didn't need to be earned. You became intelligent in survival, but no one taught you how to turn it off. And that's where things begin to shift. Because awareness changes things. Not instantly, not magically, but slowly. When you start noticing these patterns, you also start questioning them. Do I need to scan right now? Am I actually in danger? Or just used to feeling that way? You begin separating the past from the present. And that's not weakness. That's growth. You don't need to erase this part of yourself. There's value in it. You're perceptive, empathetic, deeply aware, but you also deserve rest. You deserve moments where your mind isn't on guard, where you don't have to anticipate, analyze, or prepare, where you can just exist. So maybe the goal isn't to stop being this way. Maybe the goal is balance, knowing when your awareness is helping you and when it's quietly hurting you. If this felt personal, it's because it is. Not everyone will understand this, but the ones who do, they've lived it, quietly, for a long time. And maybe this is the first time it's been put into words. You weren't too sensitive. You weren't overthinking. You adapted, brilliantly. But now, you get to choose something new. Not survival, not constant awareness, but something unfamiliar, something quieter, something softer. Peace. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.